what he was in though. There we go. Nice. Just running down the bank, or I shouldn't say the bank, but the, oh, come here. Yeah, I'll just hoist him in. Not big. Chunky little guy though. Choke that crankbait. Not bad. Just running down this break here and throwing a crankbait, covering water. I'm more so targeting deeper grass edges. Just taking the tops of that grass. You know, you're slow rolling it and covering water. So I've got the trolling motor set on constant and I'm just going. Yep, on the pause. Oh, look at that. That is a brown one. Huh. Varying up your retrieve with a crankbait is, oh man, he's going nuts. It's never a bad idea. So that one, I could just feel it tick on the tops of the grass, tick, tick, tick. I paused it and he cracked it right as I paused it. Oh, come here, buddy. Try not to get any hooks in my hands. Get a nice belly grab right there. This is definitely not what we're looking for, but a bonus brown fish is never a bad thing by any means. You know, and that's part of the reason I prefer, when I'm doing this, cranking grass in general. I really like using a balsa bait. We've shot enough underwaters comparing plastic versus balsa so that float rate just seems to be a little better at most of the time. When you get bound up in the grass like that and you stop, that bait seems to back out and float up out of the grass and triggering a strike just like that. There's one. We may have found a little school potentially. Not a huge one, but that was 2 casts in a row. Smallmouth, little largemouth. Boom. And that's really what I'm kind of doing here with it, is I'm using the crankbait as a search bait for the most part. Because in a lot of grass lakes like this, you just get huge long breaks of grass, right? And they can be really hard to break down at times. You're looking for little spots inside that grass where they like better than others for whatever reason. And they'll group up in those areas. And to go through and flip a break that's 200 yards long or whatever can take a really long time. And so a good tool to break that down is just throwing a crankbait. You know, there's other things. You can throw swim baits, you can do a bunch of different stuff, but a crankbait is something that works really, really well. And you can cover a lot of water and kind of hone in on where those fish are sitting along that grass line. When it comes to search baits and using a crankbait compared to like a swim bait or a bladed jig or anything like that, all of what those baits have in common is that when you kill them, they sink, right? And so the opposite of that is a crankbait. You kill it and it floats up, and you're kind of, it's just a different triggering factor. And so you can do a little bit more with it. And it's not always when you're fishing grass that those fish are down in the grass. Sometimes they're up over the top of it and just in different areas of the weed line. Having that crankbait that suspends or floats when you kill it is just a different triggering factor and kind of targets those fish in a little bit different area of the water column. Generally when I'm covering water, and I like a little bit faster reel, like today there's one right on that point. Today I'm going with the wind, and so having oh, he choked it. I'll get him up in here. Took him out of his jump. T-bone that sucker. But kind of lost my train of thought, but as far as my reel goes, solid little bass. I'm using a 7-3, and a lot of that has to do with, not that I'm burning that crankbait any faster, but I'm keeping up with it because I am covering water and I'm moving along this break. And so as the momentum of the boat is moving forward, I can really keep up with that bait with a faster gear ratio reel. There's one. I'm gonna go ahead and hit spot lock. Yep, there he is. Not a giant one, but 2 out of 3 casts on this little spot. And I'm gonna get a little pliers. And so this is really the ultimate goal of what I'm doing. Finding the areas in the grass where, oh, here he goes. Finding the areas in the grass where they're schooled up. And that's really what we've done. So now you can either slow down, keep throwing the crankbait till they stop biting it, slow down, fish something else, or keep moving down the break to find more productive areas. The other thing when I'm doing this and covering a bunch of water and taking the tops of that grass and everything, there are wasted casts while you're doing this. Sometimes you just can't snap the grass off. That's just the way it is. So one thing I try not to do, which is kind of opposite of what a lot of crankbait fishing is I'm not trying to make super long bomb casts, because I'm really just covering a certain section of water and moving on. So especially because I use fluoro and I don't go the braid route on this, is when I make that super long cast with fluoro, to get enough power to snap a piece of grass off out at 100 feet is pretty difficult. So I'm just making, you know, I guess if you want to call it a medium length cast. I'm not trying to bomb it as far as I can, letting the boat take me along. That's how I'm covering more water. So, and then the other thing is too, just fighting the fish. If I hook a fish way out there within all the grass and everything on a trebled bait, my landing percentage goes down. So my opinion, there's a lot of benefits to just making shorter casts.